Hi there. We have two stories today. One is called Faraway Places and the other is called Dear Juno. Our question today is, in what creative ways do we communicate? Communicate means how do we get messages across to each other? Some people communicate with sign language. Some people gesture. Some people say it louder when they mean one thing and softer when they mean another. So there's different ways that we can communicate. Sometimes you have to really think of, how can I do this, especially if the person doesn't understand your language. Okay, our vocabulary for today, we have these words. First word is school. I think we all know what that is. Right now we're doing online school. Picture. So we take a photograph. Up there is a picture. Up there is a picture. Company. It can mean a couple different things. One is a place of business. So you go to a Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer is a company. It's a business. But you can also invite company into your home. That means that you're inviting friends over, and when you invite them in a group, it's called company. Far away. Not close. Way over there. Answer. When someone asks a question, you got to tell them something back, and that's called an answer. Parents. I think we know who our parents are, mom and dad. And wash. You can do the wash, which means you're taking care of the clothes, or you can wash them, meaning you're putting them in the water and you're doing stuff. So the clothes all together getting ready is wash, and what you do is also called wash. The first one, faraway places. At school, Joan's teacher asked her class to sketch a picture. Which faraway places would you most like to go? No answer came to Joan's mind. She showed her parents that paper later. Well, would you like to visit the coast and take a boat trip? Or go places where it's cold and snowy? Her mom asked, as Joan helped her wash the dishes. Joan didn't have a goal of going to faraway places, she told her mom. She just wants to be in close company with people she's grown to like. So close company with someone you like means you have them nearby so you can visit each other. Dear Juno. Again, our question is, in what creative ways do we communicate? That looks like he has a letter. We've been using email and texting and instant messaging, all of those things. But you can write a letter and put it in the mailbox or a postcard. I've sent you those before. This is about Juno. Juno watched as the red and white blinking lights soared across the night sky like shooting stars and waited as they disappeared into faraway places. Juno wondered where they came from. He wondered where they were going. And he wondered if any of the planes came from a little town near Seoul. Seoul is a city in another country, where his grandmother lived and where she ate persimmons every evening before bed. Juno looked at the letter that came that day. It was long and white and smudged, meaning the ink got messed up a little bit. He saw the red and blue marks on the edges, and he knew the letter came from far away. His name and address were neatly printed on the front, so he knew the letter was for him. But best of all, the special stamp in the corner told Juno that the letter was from his grandmother. So he's waiting and watching. And the red lights he's talking about in the sky are the airplanes going by. And then here, if you look very closely at the envelope, you see how it's got red and white on the outside? That isn't necessarily true anymore, but when you used to send a mail kind of over the ocean, they used to have red and white along the edges. Through the window, Juno could see his parents. He saw bubbles growing in the sink. He saw dirty dishes waiting to be washed. He knew he would have to wait for the cleaning to be done before his parents could read the letter to him. Maybe I can read the inside too, Juno said to his dog Sam. Sam wagged his tail. Inside he found a letter folded into a neat, small square. He unfolded it. Tucked inside were a picture and a dried flower. So his parents are busy, and he needs help to read. So he's waiting for them, but I think he's going to give it a try. Juno looked at the letters and words. He couldn't understand. He pulled out the photograph. It was a picture of his grandmother holding a cat. He pulled out the red and yellow flower. It felt light and gentle like a dried leaf. Juno smiled. "Come on, Sam," Juno said. "Let's find Mom and Dad." So if you noticed, Korean looks very different from English. You see how there's characters? Korean is another language that makes pictures, like Japanese and Chinese. They don't write ABCD kind of letters. They make characters, symbols. "Grandma has a new cat," Juno said as he handed the letter to his mother, "and she's growing red and yellow flowers in her garden." "How do you know she has a new cat?" Juno's father asked. "Well, she wouldn't send me a picture of a strange cat," said Juno. I guess not," said his father. "How do you know the flowers from her garden?" asked Juno's mother. "She wouldn't send me a flower from someone else's garden," Juno answered. "No, she wouldn't," said Juno's mother. Then Juno's mother read him the letter. It said, "Dear Juno, how are you? I have a new cat to keep me company. I named him Juno, after you. He can't help me weed, but the rabbits no longer come eat my flowers. Grandma." "Just like you read it yourself," Juno's father said. "I did read it," Juno said. "Yes, you did," said his mother. So here they're looking at it, and that's when Grandma was getting it ready to mail. She was writing the letter. At school, Juno showed his class his grandmother's picture and the dried flower. His teacher even pinned the letter to the board. All day long, Juno kept peeking at the flower from his grandmother's garden. He didn't have a garden that grew flowers, but he had a swinging tree. Juno looked at the letter pinned to the board. Did his grandmother like getting letters too? Yes, Juno thought. She likes getting letters, just like I do. So Juno decided to write one. After school, Juno ran to his backyard. He picked a leaf from the swinging tree, the biggest leaf he could find. Juno found his mother, who was sitting at her desk. He showed her the leaf. "I am going to write a letter," he said. "I'm sure it will be a very nice letter," she answered, and she gave him a big yellow envelope. "Yes, it will," Juno said, and then he began to draw. So he's in school, and then he's up in his big tree that he likes. First, he drew a picture of his mom and dad standing outside the house. Second, he drew a picture of Sam playing underneath his big swinging tree. Then, very carefully, Juno drew a picture of himself standing under an airplane in a starry nighttime sky. After he was finished, he placed everything in the envelope. "Here's my letter," Juno announced proudly. "You can read it if you want." Juno's father looked in the envelope. He pulled out the leaf. "Only a big swinging tree could grow a leaf this big," he said. Juno's mother pulled out one of the drawings. "What a fine picture," she said. "It takes a good artist to say so much with a drawing." Juno's father patted Juno on the head. "It's just like a real letter," he said. "It is a real letter," Juno said. "It certainly is," said his mother. Then they mailed the envelope and waited. So he is making all these things to put inside the envelope. Remember, you don't have to write words to communicate. Pictures can communicate too. One day, a big envelope came. It was from Juno's grandmother. This time, Juno didn't wait at all. He opened the envelope right away. Inside, Juno found a box of colored pencils. He knew she wanted another letter. Next, he pulled out a picture of his grandmother. He noticed she was sitting with a cat and 2 kittens. He thought for a moment and he laughed. Now his grandmother would have to find a new name for her cat. In Korean, Juno was a boy's name, not a girl's name. Then he pulled out a small toy plane. Juno smiled. His grandmother was coming to visit. So when she put the plane in there, she didn't say, "I am coming to visit," but that was a clue for him to figure out. "Maybe she'll bring her cat when she comes to visit," Juno said to Sam as he climbed into bed, "and maybe you two will be friends." So they're being very creative. They're thinking of ways to talk to each other when Juno doesn't know how to write yet. Soon Juno was fast asleep, and when he dreamed that night, he dreamed about a faraway place, a village just outside Seoul, which is in South Korea, where his grandmother, whose gray hair sat on top of her head like a powdered donut, was sipping her morning tea. The cool air feels crisp against her cheek, crisp enough to crackle, he dreams, just like the golden leaves that cover the persimmon garden. So he's just waiting for her to come, and he's dreaming about what it's going to be like where she is. And then she can tell him all about it when she comes. I hope you like the stories today. Bye.